Islam.
Um, I was in the store in my neighborhood, and one of the guys in the store seen a cop that lives in the neighborhood. So he's like, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." He said, "The ID you carry is not a real ID." I said, "It is, but I'm not even going to go into it with you." So he called the cop over, which is a ex-police officer. So he started talking to him, and he saw the ID because I keep my credit cards and stuff in my case. And he seen it. He said, "You talk about that?" I said, "Yeah, that ID right there." He said, "No, that's not an ID." He said, "You need a state ID." I said, "And who told you that?" He said, "Well, you can't do anything without a state ID." I said, "Give me 1 minute." So I walk around with information on my phone. So I pulled up a document, 1508, specifically mentions identification documents, and I let him read it. He read it, he looked at me, he said, "Oh, I didn't know that." I said, "You're a police officer, but this is a rule that you try to enforce." So I said, "Here's the link to it." So I walked with him. Well, he lives around the corner from me. So on the way walking home, I walked with him. He pulled it up and he read the whole thing. He said, "I did not know that." He said, "That's not what they told us in police academy."
Wow.
And I said, "Well," he said, "So what are you?" I said, "I'm a Moorish American, indigenous Moorish American national."
Wow.
He said, "I gotta look that up." Now he's a Moor too, but he don't know it. He said he's an American citizen.
Wow.
But by the time I got to his house, he said, he said, "Thank you for that. I gotta go in the house and I gotta pull this up and I gotta read it."
Yes.
I
Well,
said, "Please pull
there
it
you
up,
go.
and I'll see you sometime this week, and I'm gonna ask you about
Islam.
Because some people
You know.
some people don't really know until you bring it to their attention.
They're
They're still asleep. I'm not mad that they sleep, but I want them to wake up.
Yes.
And it's our duty to wake them up.
Yes. Yes, indeed. It is. It absolutely is. Well, that goes to show you that you can't take their word, the ones doing business as police, you can't take their word for anything either. They're just as ignorant as the next citizen, the one doing business as citizens. So they need to know too. Absolutely. Especially the ones who are sleeping Moors. Now, I am of the knowing in my spirit that the Albions, all of them know. And I treat them like all of them know. They know. They wouldn't be here if they did not know. Because their grandparents and their parents told them early on. They know. And none of them are going to pretend like they don't know what a constitution is. Believe it or not, they don't even fill out the same paperwork we fill out when it comes time to go to school and do all of those things. They don't fill out the same paperwork we do. They act like they do, and they make it seem like it when they pass everything out to all the classes, but they are foreign. So they know. I mean, I love the demonstration, nobility. I love it because we can't go wrong when we're doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing, which is proclaiming our sovereign status. I love it. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Islam.
Empress Brianna. I think it was Empress Brianna that was telling the story earlier. Did you want to mention what you told us earlier before the call started? Because that's just beautiful.
Yes. Okay. So I had paperwork sent to my grandparents' house, which they didn't serve me. They actually left them in the mailbox or whatever. And so it was actually a so-called lawsuit for $20,000. And I was told by, well, I'm trying to say the right word. I was going over everything with my mentor, which is Gio Moore, and we were going over all of this, and he told me to put no contract at the top. The next line was my appellation, and I keep getting this word wrong, so forgive me if it's wrong, but ex relation, I think that's how you pronounce it, but I could be wrong. And then my straw name in parentheses, but all capital letters. Then the next line was all rights and privileges exercised and retained. And then up under that is the day, the month, the date, and the year. That's all I put on the back of each one of those documents, which it was 2. And I won my case, and I wasn't even there. That's all I put. And they told him that he had no contract with me, and that's how I won.
Islam.
And it's just that simple. Islam. And all it took me was no type of lawyer or anything. Of course, I wouldn't do that, but just a stamp. I just sent it to him, just a stamp.
That's it. Islam. Well, they can't argue with you, Empress. You are the Empress. You're the law and the government, as are we all. You know, when I hear things like that, I cannot help but it just gives me the belly laugh, actually, because, you know, it's a manifestation of all the work that's been done by all of us. You know, all we had to do was wake up and stand and be ourselves and know that we're not at war with anyone. We don't have to argue with them. We don't have to argue with them. All we have to do is be ourselves. That's hilarious and beautiful. Very beautiful. Thank you, Empress. I appreciate that one. I really do. I appreciate them all. Every time I hear our stories, it's just amazing.
I just want to say, you know, I was nationalized in May, and for a long time, I would come in class and I would hear, not class, come in the meeting and hear different things, and it would all sound like riddles to me. And I would just keep, you know, keep coming because I was like, one day I'm going to understand what they're talking about. And then now, like I can hear somebody talk about something and I know now, I guess, you know, just from coming, just continue to come. And that's the problem a lot of people have when they first start coming. They don't understand what's going on, so they'll leave and try to come back later. But if they just stay, they'll get a better understanding of everything like I did.
Yeah.
But that I hear.
Islam. Very, very true. Very true. Just all we needed was patience as well. We just needed to be patient. And we still need to be patient. Islam, Empress.
Yes, I have a demonstration. This is Patricia Elbay.
Yes.
I sent the termination of contracts in September to my phone provider, and I got back the green card and everything, and my phone is still on. I haven't sent them any notes or anything, and this was in September when I sent it, so it was due. It was due on the 26th of October. And here it is in November. So far, I'm doing good. So finally got something done that's positive.
Yes, it takes a minute sometimes to get our demonstrations down, you know, and we have to sometimes have to repeat the demonstration and tweak it and fix it up a little bit more, and you know, all of that. Everyone who's willing to do the work will get the results. It's the law.
Yes.
It is the law that our sovereign status be honored on our land.
Like they say, if you don't know your rights, you don't have any.
And if you don't exercise and use them
Thank you.
every time, yes, ma'am. I
Yes.
mean, ma'am. But yes, it's true.
Yes, I yield.
It's true. Thank you, Empress, for that. I appreciate that. I'm tickled. Just,
Yeah.
it's just
Islam.
Islam justice. Yes.
It sounds great whenever I hear anybody say this because they are exercising their rights, not reserving them. Reserving it will get you what reservations do. You might get a seat or you might not.
Yes.
Use it, exercise it, and retain it, and you will always be in your proper status.
Yes.
Islam.
I love it. I love us, our nation, our government, all. We are just, all we have to do is be ourselves. That's it. That's all that is required of us is to never be anything that's not us. And when we're ourselves, we can't, it's the law. Everyone must abide by the law. Our ancestors, they already set everything up for us. All we had to do was stand. That's it. I love it. Anybody else? Any other testaments, demonstrations? Any comments about the demonstrations, etc., before we go into a couple of things? There's some information that has been put in the chat with regard to that same quote that was put with regard to the nationality ID, that the driver's license, the birth certificate, and the social security number are in the absence of a national ID. And that is Article 1508 on the U.S. Department of Justice website. And you can just Google Article 1508 U.S. Department of Justice and it will come up for you. Okay. And in that first paragraph there, it will say that those three, what they call their priority documents or something like that, I believe that's what they call it, priority documents, which are not a priority for us because we have national ID. And it says those three documents are in the absence of a national ID. And we don't have an absence of national ID, so we don't need any of that. Okay. I want to take just a moment. I'm just loving this also. I want to congratulate the United Res Publica of Morocco government on a successful grand opening last night. I'm not sure how many of you had the opportunity to see some of what was done, but I'm just so excited for all of us because there are nations that we must do commerce with, etc. And the nations are coming together so that we don't have to worry about corporate commerce because we have each other of the same bloodline and the same birthright, manifesting nations. I love it. I mean, you can't be anything but excited about that. It was a beautiful program the whole way through. There are, and they showcase some of the things that we have going on in our nation, such as, this is the one that I'm very excited about, that I actually got to hear about, is birth workers, Moorish American, sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine birth workers, to assist in bringing the heirs into manifestation here on this plane. I love it because we have needed that for a very long time. And I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat the link to one of the birth workers to their social media page from last night, so that if there are any Moors on this call who need birth worker information, please look this sister up. She just did an amazing job. There it is in the chat. It's Why the Doula on Facebook.com. Y as in the letter Y, THEDOULA, Why the Doula, and that's on Facebook, and the link is in the chat. We know that we're coming out of all of those corporate systems and setting up our own systems, which we're not really even having to set them up because they've been set up since time immemorial. We're just activating them further. And so we're excited about the birth workers and all of the other presentments that were made yesterday by the United Republic of Morocco government, sovereign, original, indigenous, Moorish American government. Very, very excited about them, and we specifically send and extend the olive branch to them. We love them very much. We have known them since before their grand opening, and we look to them for assistance, and they can always look to us for assistance. We love them so much, and we're excited for them. And if there's anything that any of us can do to assist with all that you all are doing, just let us know. We already have each other's numbers. And so if there's anything you need that we can assist you with, please do not hesitate. We're here. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be here. And you are too. We love it. We get to govern our vast estate together, all of us. So we're excited about that. We do extend diplomatic and consular relations to you from us specifically. And lots of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So congratulations to them. And that's Noble Abdullah, Talib Mosey Bey, Empress Tamar L, and Noble Shem. And we're just excited about all of that because we need more nations and governments so that we can begin diplomatic and consular relations across our land, Islam. And then I want to bring up the corporation insanity, not to point anyone's attention there. I'm actually bringing it up so that we can stay focused on nation building because it's quite the circus. The corporation insanity that the foreign hybrid Albions are acting out on the corporate airways gives us we did not need their assistance at all, but it presents an even greater opportunity for us on our land where growth and expansion of our nations and governments is concerned. It's kind of like when two people are arguing and you're the third neutral, uninvolved observer. What can that third neutral, uninvolved, completely neutral nation and government do to take advantage of all that's happening on our land? Well, we can bring peace to all that we say and do, peace to our vast estate. We can bring peace to commerce. We can bring peace to banking. We can bring peace to the airways. We can bring peace to the land. We can bring peace to the natural resources. Everything that has to do with us, we can bring peace to all of that, and justice and love and truth, okay, and freedom to all of that. It's easy to be peace when we are not at all involved in inferior corporate activities such as marches, corporate elections, corporate census, corporate conversations, and all of that. We're better outside of that, because all of that is a part of capitalism and commerce and war, and we don't really need to be a part of that at all, ever, which leaves us way more room to do exactly what we need to do unencumbered. Let them stay busy over there while we continue to govern and possess our vast estate. So we have awesome opportunity, even more so. I mean, the opportunity's always been there, but that just helps us to focus even greater on nation building. A further announcement, the sovereign Moorish American United States Post Office. We know that we are the United States of America. We've always been that in all lowercase letters in red. We are not the capitalized black ink people. We're the sovereign, original, indigenous United States of America that they hypothecated. And we've taken that back. That's ours. It's always been ours. Again, there's nothing out there that was not ours. It's always been ours. And so the sovereign Moorish American United States Post Office here at West A. Mexham has begun ministerial duties to administer our vast estate where mail and banking operations are concerned. We will keep you posted as developments happen.
Hey, Pauline, word on the street is that you got your call.
We want to also discuss drafting our first gold-backed original indigenous Moorish American stamp. We actually are going to need the heirs to who have that as their science. And even if you don't have it as your science, you may discover you have that trait already. We need stamps drafted up. And by stamps, it can be, they have to be hand-drawn in some way. It can be a portrait of Noble Drew Ali. It can be something in nature. It can be anything that is a sign or symbol or sigil of who we are. We need to get some stamps made up and originated.
You're black people.
So
why don't you tell them?
So that we can get our post office running. We are going to, yes, in the chat, Empress Portia says we can put that on regular labels. Yes, we can. So we can go and get blank labels and put the stamps on those labels, so it won't take anything other than drawing it out. Or if you see something, a photo or something like that, that can go on the stamp. If you see them and you want to make a sheet of those stamps and post them on social media so we can see them, and then also send me a text message with a photo of the stamp that you come up with. Yes, the Moorish seal will be one of those, possibly, or maybe partial of the Moorish seal.
What about your daughter Raymond Raisinette?
Stuff like that. We will have, anything that you see that is a marker of the Moors. Okay. That way we can start using them on our own letters and parcels that we send. And on each one, it should say in red and all, there should be no capital letters, first of all, on any of our stamps, no capital letters, and any lettering that's put on them should be in red or gold even. And then the word gold back postage should be on the stamp somewhere. Gold-backed postage or gold-backed sovereign postage should be somewhere on the stamp. I know stamps are small, and they should remain small, but in red in all lowercase letters or in red in all gold lowercase letters. In gold in all lowercase letters. The words gold-backed sovereign postage or gold-backed sovereign postage stamp. Some wording that lets everyone know that the stamp is an original indigenous sovereign post office stamp. And then we're going to be doing some demonstrations in this territory where we're going to be delivering our own mailings. So the majority of what we are doing with regard to possession of property and all that we're doing is being done in this territory. So if for some reason we have to send some mailing out to any of your territories, we will send it out, but it will be we're still determining what that's going to look like. But we know that our own stamps are still United States postage stamps. And we've also looked at the fact that the stamp that we have been using, needs to be decapitalized, or everything needs to be decapitalized, because we're mailing within the United States, but it's the United States in red and all lowercase letters. We're not at that other place. This is Morocco. This is ancient Morocco, Al-Morocco, America, Amexum, Northwest Africa, and all of that is in red and all lowercase letters. So we need to have our own stamp for our own postage, post system, post office. And we're going to begin here in this territory. Yes, that's a great idea, Justice Frank. Justice Frank says, let's nail each other as a dry run. That's a great idea. And anyone who wants to begin, because see, remember, this is exciting. I agree. Remember, we're all the postmasters. All of us are already postmasters. We're sovereign postmasters. They got their whole idea of hypothecating those things from us. And so as postmasters, we're going to start delivering the mailings that we send out face-to-face, or like we do, like you would any mail, with our original indigenous stamps on them. That way, and then we're going to put it through, because again, everything belongs to us anyway. So those who want to begin delivering mail in your territories, go ahead and do it. If you have court actions and liens and things like that on fakes in the area, go ahead and start delivering those things to them with Moorish American stamps on them, so that they know exactly where they come from, and that they know that we have our own post office that delivers. And it is the original indigenous United States post office, and not any fake foreigners, because they don't control or own anything here. And then as a lawful reference for our delivery of our own mailing, because that system is finished over there. It's actually on the shutdown. But as lawful, let me grab the USC code. And the reason I mention USC codes is because all we need to do is decapitalize and decolonize the USC codes, and then we can use them. there are several of those codes that are referenced on our sovereign mailings and that we've been referencing in the past. When we reference those codes now, we just do it in red in all lowercase letters. And those codes are as follows. 18 USC 1726. That's one of them. So you'll want to put that, if you feel led to put it on the outside of your document, of your mailing. Note that one in red in all lowercase letters. You can also reference 12 Statute at Law CH 71, Section 23. And that is in red in all lowercase letters. Also, because that one refers to statutory non-domestic fully prepaid mail. Our mail is prepaid, and that's why we're going to be delivering it. And we really, it would be ideal if we had at least one more in each of the territories who would begin delivery of, all we need for this to do is take place just one time in each territory in order for it to energetically do what we need it to do. So in your territories, go ahead and get your liens and court actions together and, and deliver them, hand deliver them yourself as either postmaster, or you can deliver them as Sharifi and peace officer. Whichever hat you want to wear, because we're all of that anyway. And
what about?
And so, let's see. And I believe that is how we're going to start doing that. 18 USC 1726 and 12 Statute at Law, Chapter 71, Section 23. And then you all already know of some other ones that you can use, okay? But again, we are the postmasters, period. And so we're going to prove that. We say it, we know it, let's prove it. Let's deliver at least one mailing as the postmaster. And when we deliver it, if you can get a signature from whoever you deliver it to, someone. But if not, don't worry about it. There's no need to go to any domiciles or anything and get a signature if you don't feel comfortable doing that. You can just, as long as it's delivered, and you maybe tape it to the door or slide it under a door or put it in a mailbox or something of that nature, okay? Because it is sovereign mail on our land, and all mailboxes are on our land. And so we want to reiterate that by our demonstration, okay? And, you know, you may get some that say, oh, you can't put it in a mailbox and blah, 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 blah. We can tape it to the mailbox if we want to do that. We can tape it to the door, wherever. Usually it's corporations that are attempting to yes, take a photo for proof. And then I normally post my photos right onto social media so that, or onto YouTube, do a little video on YouTube and say, you know, I'm the sovereign postmaster and this delivery has been made. You know, that's still a peaceful action. You know, it's still a peaceful action, and we're going to continue to lawfully and peacefully demonstrate our sovereign status. So that is one of the demonstrations that we're going to be doing. So anyone who can draw or craft stamps, even if you're not artistically inclined, because I'm not really artistically inclined, but I have some ideas for stamps too. And we can each start using our own stamps to send to one another so we can see what others are doing, because that's a great way to share our energy as well among the nations. And so we're moving in that direction as well. We are the post office. We are the sovereign postmasters. And we have every right to do all that we're doing. I did post, and I'm going to post it now in the chat. I'm going to post because we're getting ready to move in this direction as well. I'm going to post the postmaster and post office duties and mail tribution. They say distribution. I prefer the word tribution. I'm going to post those in the chat as well. These do need to be decapitalized and put in all lowercase letters in red. There it is. It's, I believe, 43 pages from the public laws that talk about the postmaster and the postmaster duties and the post office duties, and each one of the positions in the post office. We're going to be looking in that direction as well, so that as we expand into, because the post office is also the bank. And so as we move into that direction and take on those duties, we want to ensure that we're doing everything lawfully and peacefully. So the link that I put in the chat will assist with that. And then we're going to lowercase that and put it in all in red, and ensure that capitalization and capitalism are not a part of our presentment as we move further into that. And speaking of banking, the structure of our moorishe bank that we're about, that it's really essentially already open. We're just doing ministerial duties there, where we're putting together the protocols, because we all are the bank anyway. You know, Grand Sheik has always told us we're the bank. So we believe him. We know that he's right about that. And so we're going to continue that ministry. Our bank and the post office financial arm are the same. And not only are they the same, but the United States Treasury, in all lowercase letters in red, is the overarching, one of the overarching financial arms or parts of our body. And so as our bank begins to do commerce with the heirs, that commerce will then be able to be moved to the United States Treasury, which is us. It's no one but us. There are no corporates involved in anything we do. Will be moved to our United States Treasury, which is the same Treasury as the moorishe National Republic Federal Government Treasury, that the $666 trillion gold-backed sovereign instrument, creditor instrument that was placed on the public record, all of that is working together. All of that is working together. And as we continue building line upon line and precept upon precept, all of that is going to continue working together so that we have a sound and solid structure. Now, our structure is sound and solid simply because it's not corporate. It's not a 501c3. It's not a corporation under the United States Corporation Company. It's none of that. And in the coming weeks, and we've been working on it we're still working on it, the charter for our bank so that you will know exactly what is going on there. Okay, and then we'll start doing commerce shortly. In just a few weeks, maybe a couple of months, we will see how that goes. We want to ensure that we stay completely disconnected from any, and we don't really have to worry about United States Corporation Company connections because we don't have any. So they're done, and we'll let them finish doing all the stuff that they're doing over there, whatever that acting is, while we stay focused on continuing to stand and govern our vast estate so that we can prepare for commerce among the nations, the real nations. So that's where we are with the banking. And
how do you shop at Costco when you don't have a membership card, Pauline?
There's some sunlight in my
How can
eyes,
you shop at Costco?
so I can't. There's some sunlight in my eyes, so if it looks a little bit weird, not weird, but if it looks a little bit bright, that's what that is. So, are there any other questions about the whole banking piece and all of that? Are there any questions about the sovereign credits and how they're going to move as well? In order for, most of you should see, if you have a sovereign resource account, which was formerly called bank account, most of you should see the change that has taken place recently, where previously in the past, whenever you would swipe your card and at maybe the grocery store someplace, and it would show on your statement as a number in parentheses in black. That's what it used to look like. And most of you who have terminated all corporate contracts should see now where it has turned red to match our sovereign autograph and our thumbprint. Okay. If you haven't seen that yet, then look back at your paperwork and also make sure that you do a termination of corporate contracts along with your proclaiming your nationality, and then prepare to do liens and court actions so that you can get those corporations off of your estate. Okay. Aside from that, are there any other, with regard to the moorishe vanguard, we also want to keep in mind that we are looking at moorishe vanguard uniformity across the board. We know that the white turban and fez is the order of the day where the vanguard is concerned, and then for our shirts and jackets with our flags on them, as well as the matching pants, it's going to be either white or green with the red, with our red flag above our heart, over our heart. Okay. And always like a white shirt, whether it be a t-shirt or whatever, a white shirt underneath and a white turban. And then whenever you have events in your territory, ensure that at least 2 vanguards are on duty. That just means wearing white turbans and ensuring that the heirs are safe and that everyone is, everyone's okay. And we need to do that with for every meeting that we have at least 2. If the meeting is more than 5 people or 5 more, if there's more than 5 more at the meeting, then there should be at least 2 wearing white fezzes or turbans. But other than that, just one. We need to have at least one, or one who commits to being the vanguard for that particular meeting. And once we start doing that in our territories and notify all of the fakes that the Moorish Vanguard is taking care of all meetings, then we don't have to worry about them attempting to come and enforce mask restrictions and restrictions on the numbers of us who are meeting and all of that. And fortunately, we've not had any of that. I was very glad to see both on our meeting that we had here on October 31st, we didn't have any issues, and also with United Res Publica of Morocco government, they didn't have any issues either. So we appreciate that, you know, our ancestors for ensuring that we don't have to worry about that as we do what we're supposed to be doing.
And thank you for choosing free conference.
Where's your lapdogs?
So,
There's a fruit.
we appreciate that, and we're going to continue in that manner to govern ourselves and our vast estate, so that we don't have to call on corporate to do anything. Anything that we can do ourselves, let's do it. Whether it be fixing conveyances, securing ourselves and our heirs, whatever the case may be. Let's do it ourselves and not call them for anything. And the more we do that, the sooner they are no longer attempting to do it.
Oh, you're too fucking lazy to do anything, you dumb bitch.
So we're appreciative that the ancestors are showing us exactly what we need to be doing and how to move peacefully on our own land. Are there any other topics or discussions with regard to the questions in the chat? We did talk about that. We touched on it briefly. We didn't go into any huge detail, but we touched on it briefly. Empress Shatali, did you have a question?
Islam,
Empress.
Okay, I'm working on my feedback. Okay, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
So me and my daughter were planning to get her back in her apartment. So she's done a court action and liens and the whole nine. And she went to check her apartment, and then she decided to call a locksmith to get in because they haven't evicted her. They haven't done anything to say that she's no longer able to be on the property. So one of the neighbors called and said that they saw her getting into the apartment, and they called the property manager, and the property manager called the police. So the police came and said that she can't be on the property. And so my daughter thought about it, and then she said after the fact, and you know, they ended up leaving, and the police said that they wanted some information on what's going on. So she emailed the liens and all that kind of stuff. But she said she noticed that they didn't arrest her for trespassing or anything of that nature, or breaking and entering, because she called the locksmith. So and then they didn't have any documentation. They came with a restraining order from CPS, and so that's a totally different issue. But to me, they knew they needed something besides the management's word that she can't be there. So they came with the restraining order, and so my daughter, she said, okay, well, this time we will go to the police and to the sheriff to notify them that this is what's going on and we're going to gain entry. And so I don't think I'm ready for that. You know, I think there's just something missing. But you know, she said, well, we can also let them know that we are vanguard. You know, when we go. And
okay.
And so yeah, I was just wondering if you can. I can't hear her. I can't. Yes. We turned the sound down so that it will be no feedback.
Okay.
I yield.
Okay. All right. So when you said that you don't think you're ready for that, I agree, and here's why. Because when they come or when they're talking to their straw, you all still seem to answer. That's the first thing that I'm noticing in what you're saying, is that when they talk to the straw, you all answer, and they're not talking to you. Even in the documents, they're not talking to you. And until you know that for sure, you cannot. It's best that you hold off on any demonstrations until you know that whenever they send documents and they do all that they do, they're not speaking to you at all. It seems like, and that's not a Empress. That's not a put down at all. That's a just an observation that I would suggest that you study, and also have your daughter to study it, as well as knowing that, you know, that whatever it is going on with the situation, that we have to stand firm. We can't waffle back and forth, and one day we're friends with the baby's father, and the next minute we're doing all other types of things. We have to decide how we're going to handle whatever the situation is and stand strong on that decision, whatever the decision is, whether it's to work it out peacefully, which is preferable that it be worked out peacefully without corporates. But corporates have been involved in the situation already, and you know, it seems that whenever the corporates start speaking, you start talking back to them, and that is not a that's not a suggested way to deal with them. And I say suggested, but I know for sure that that's not the way to deal with them, because you cannot negotiate with terrorists. You can't. And as long as you talk back to them, they're going to treat her and you and the children like citizens, because that's the only ones they can talk to. You know, so when they give you a restraining order and you feel that restraining order is talking to you, which, you know, then see, they know that they cannot put the sovereign out, but they can put the citizen out. And if the sovereign doesn't know that she's sovereign when they start talking to the citizen, then that's going to cause problems for you. And we don't need for you to have any issues. We need for the situation to be cleared up where nobility and sovereign status are concerned. Because status is the only determining factor that must be properly established before anyone can do anything. And they know that. That's why they didn't arrest her and all of that. They know that already, but they need you all to be competent to know that they're not talking to you, and then be able to demonstrate that 7 days a week, no matter whether you receive something from them, receive a mailing, or whether you receive a phone call, knowing they're not talking to you, they're not even calling for you because you're living and breathing and they're not. So I would suggest that you do a much deeper study with your daughter and the heirs about the difference between capital letters and those who are using capitalism to violate the estate or to remove their citizens, because that's really what's going on the land now. Is anybody that's a citizen, you know, they're subject to be handled. And if we don't know that they're not talking to us from the beginning, fortunately for us, jurisdiction can be invoked at any time. But when you invoke jurisdiction, you can't waffle and go back and forth. You have to know that they're not talking to you. And you cannot then invoke any of the sovereign positions if you've already continued to yield to what they say. You know, so there has to be further, deeper study on knowing who they're talking to when they speak. And I don't care where they speak from, whether it's a piece of paper or phone or showing up in, you know, in court status, which is what they are. You know, do a deeper study, Empress, before you proceed with any further demonstration, so that you, and you cannot study for your daughter, she has to study for herself. Because even if you know everything that you're talking about, even if you know exactly who you are, if she contracts with them and you don't know that she contracted with you, and you don't know that she contracted with them, then there may be some issue there. So you can invoke jurisdiction at any time. That's where I would suggest that you start. Start with invoking jurisdiction, and every move you make, invoke jurisdiction, whether it be verbally or on paper. Okay? You know?
Islam. I just want to say that one of the first places that anyone should do if they're uncertain of who they are is to study and know what ex-relation means. I always send people, not just tell them what to do, but tell them to go to the website for rvbaypublications.com and study ex-relation and exactly what it means. It's about 4 pages of information, but when one studies it, they talk in proper person because they know a lot more. And to read their documentation when they nationalize, because on the documentation that we've put together over the last few years, and we use other people's information that was there before and work to perfect it, you have all the information one needs to know to act in proper person at every instance. So it's worth it to study that and then study self, how you relate to it, and that's all it is that takes to get one on the right track if they have fallen off the track anywhere. Islam.
Yes, Islam. And I see here in the chat, someone said in the chat that, let me roll back up to that because that's important. Just a moment, let me get back to that. It says, someone in the chat put that sometimes, that works sometimes, but not all the time. They still are going to try you. My response to that is this: we cannot contract with them for any type of benefit, thinking that it's a benefit, and then invoke jurisdiction. We can invoke jurisdiction at any time, but it must be done in honor. Being done in honor means that you're not going to say you're a citizen 1 minute just because they say, if you say this, I'll let you go. Or if you say this, we'll leave. Nope. We must be ourselves all the time. We are not the representatives of anything. And they cannot go, just like with her. See, she properly invoked. And that's what held them back to that point. But still, they even lied to her when she came to the property, when they came to the property and told her she couldn't be there. That's a lie. She can be there. However, I would suggest not going there until you know for sure who you really are, because they have to do what we tell them to do when we know who we are. There are many living witnesses to that, that if we don't contract with them verbally or any other way, then they have to step back. Okay? It will work all the time when we stay in our proper person, all the time. It will work every single time. Our ancestors can't lie about that. They wouldn't lie about that. And they know our intentions, and they know all that we're doing. And I'm not insinuating that anyone's dishonest. I know we're not. We're operating, all of us are operating in honor, but we have to stay in honor and not be induced to fraud, because that's really what they do. They induce people to fraud sometimes. And we can't allow that to happen just because we see a benefit of some kind, you know. Empress Aliyah L., what exactly were you referring to in terms of the question?
Greetings.
Greetings.
I was just wondering, okay, so I know it's cancellation of contract.
Empress, where are you? I think you may have muted yourself, Empress, again. Did you hit the mute button?
Yes, I did. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So yes, you know, when they have to get the internships, they also have to give the Social Security number that was assigned to the name. And just wondering what my daughter should do. She's a senior this year. So
yes, that's a beautiful question.
Yes.
So we never have to give a Social Security number, but we can always give a sovereign security number, and they'll know what to do with it. A sovereign security number, let's just say, for example, if my social was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it has dashes in it. All she needs to do is give them an affidavit of sovereign security number. And that sovereign security number will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with no dashes in it. So whatever the number was as a debtor, it's the same numbers, same sequence of numbers, except it's not that negative math problem. So she can give them an affidavit of sovereign security number. And I'll put in the chat what that looks like. So a social security number, which we do not use, looks like a minus math, a negative math problem, where it'll say 1, 2, 3 dash 4, 5 dash 6, 7, 8, 9. That's what it looks like right there in the chat. That's what a Social Security number. We do not use those. What we do use is a sovereign security number. And one thing about sovereign security numbers is they also do the same thing as sovereign in all lowercase letters EIN numbers in all lowercase letters in red. It's same number, but with no dashes in the middle. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. There it is in the chat. What we do use is a sovereign security number.
Sovereign security number. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Empress. So whatever number she was given at birth, just take the minus signs out, because that's the debtors. And then put it in red in all lowercase letters and call it a sovereign security number, and it's on an affidavit on government letterhead issued by her government, which is you and her. And that's how we do all of that when we're taking advantage of benefits on our vast estate. So there's a way to remain sovereign even when we're doing things like that. Yes, Justice Frank put something important in the chat. He said, can you do it 1, 2, 3, and then a plus sign, and then 4, 5, and then a plus sign? and then 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, you can. Because that's going to make you a creditor when you do that math problem. The answer is going to not have any dashes in it at all. It's going to be a creditor number. It's going to be a positive number. And that's how we do all of that, whether it's scholarships or the thing they call financial aid. It's really the heirs using their own credit, really. And when you know that you're the creditor, they have to give you exactly what you tell them, what is necessary for you to do that task. And that's just long enough until, you know, until we continue learning what we're learning now, you know. Let me open it up for just a moment because I see Islam.
What the fuck,
Are there
Pauline?
any other questions about any of that? EIN numbers in the chat, it says, what about EIN numbers? When you do an employee identification number, our sovereign security numbers are that as well, in red in all lowercase letters. So even those who have had EIN numbers previously, because some had those numbers where they applied to the corporation and got those numbers. What you want to do is terminate that corporate contract and all corporate contracts, and then you can claim that same sequence of numbers, but put it in red in all lowercase letters as an EIN in all lowercase letters in red, and then put the number with no dashes. Put plus sign or no sign. And that would be your sovereign EIN number, which is the same as the sovereign security number. That's how I'm doing it as I go through this process of, for example, we're all the postmasters. Now, we're applying to ourselves for that position because we're the only ones who can give us that position, all of us. So my sovereign security number is the number that I use as that number if I'm contracting out or if I'm working in my sovereign capacity as Postmaster General, which I won't have a need to really do an EIN number because my sovereign security number doubles as all of that. So I only have to remember that one number. They're all 9-digit numbers for a reason because they're all going to end up at the same place. Either a creditor file or a debtor file, depending on the signs that are in there, and the color of the ink, and whether it's all lowercase or all uppercase. Okay? So, you know, however we do that. Does that answer your question, Justice J. Michael, with regard to that? Justice J, does that answer your question?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, kind of, sort of, but we were always told that the EIN numbers were like back doors into your estate that the IRS was using. So I'm kind of hesitant to use their numbers. I mean, you don't have to use their numbers, do you?
No, and it's not their numbers. See, when you put it in red in all lowercase letters, that means you're taking it back as the creditor. Because all they did is put dashes in black ink on everything that we do.
Yeah, they did. They did over everything. And so you undo it by
yes.
Right?
Yes, no dashes and red ink. We use red ink. And we use all lowercase letters, which pulls it out of the capitalism system.
Yes.
and then we put it on government letterhead. So now it's issued by the government, the real government, not the fake corporate. And when you do that, there's no challenge from anyone.
Does it have to be a certain amount of numbers? I mean, I don't think I use 9
is always, 9 is what even our system, because we're talking to a system when we exercise our sovereign rights. We're not even talking to corporate. We're talking to our system, and our system is, just a moment, Empress. Our system takes 9 numbers.
Okay, because I already did my sovereign number, but I'm not sure it's 9s. I use my parents' numbers from my parents, but I'm not sure I use 9. I have to check. But I already have a number that I use as a sovereign number. If it's not 9,
and most likely it's 9. Most likely it is. If it was, either a social or something like that, which is a debtor number, and you changed it to a creditor number by using the same sequence of numbers, and you put it in red in all lowercase letters on sovereign government letterhead. If you did that, then you're good.
No, I didn't take their numbers at all because I didn't trust that. So I might be sure. And I also didn't put any pluses. So maybe I'll read.
You don't have to put pluses. You can just leave it. But as long as you don't put minus signs on anything, including, how some people hyphenate their name and all of that, or their appellation, don't do that. That's still a math problem. So don't use minus signs at all. Not at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it answers.
And
thank you.
Yes, Islam. And then, of course, red ink and all lowercase letters, and you're good. And government letterhead, Moorish government letterhead. And hopefully everyone has copies of the Moorish government letterhead. Hopefully. Okay. Let's see. Yep, hopefully everyone has that. If you don't have it, put your email in the chat and someone will send you the Moorish government letterhead. And when you get it, it should be read in all lowercase letters in that manner. Additionally, I want to say that that if you see in the chat our government seal in Capitis Diminution Nolo, the new government seal is there, and it's also on this page, just in case you need it. And it's placed on social media as well. Okay. Let me see. And I do think I see the chat. Let's see. Okay. In the chat, some are putting their email address. Let me see. Somebody begging to get. Okay. Get put out of here. We have Albion Invader. The best they can do is invade. Let's see. Let me go see. Are there any other questions at all?
Islam? There's someone posting in the chat as Duron, D-U-R-O-N.
Yeah, he just got booted out. He just got that's the Albion Invader. Yeah.
Islam, they're really trying.
It's a little bit hilarious that they keep trying. They're not saying any of the things that they said before. They used to say, "Oh, your links don't work." Well, they see that that's working, so they're trying something else. We're good. We're good.
Islam.
I think they probably should be paying more attention to that corporate stuff that's going on over there, the big mess that's going on over there.
Or to see what vote ticket they'll have to get if they keep acting that way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Islam. Are there any other questions, comments? I'm going to send you a copy of the letterhead. Okay. With Empress Shade, do you have the letterhead in all lowercase letters? I think you do. If you don't mind, would you send it to the email address in the chat? Thank you, Empress. I appreciate it.
What?
Okay. I believe that's all we have for this week. We're going to be putting the bank charter out on the public record sometime soon, in the next few weeks as we make our way through it. We'll let you know, and we'll also present it at one of our meetings, our upcoming meetings, so that you're aware, and we'll read over it so that everyone is aware of what it means and all of that. And then we'll move forward slowly but surely into sovereign commerce where the bank is concerned. Our bank is simply a method and a clearinghouse for commercial accounting matters. So you will need the things that we've already said: a termination of all corporate contracts, and then your sovereign security number or your sovereign EIN, and everything must be in red and all lowercase letters, no capital letters, et cetera, so that we can begin the commerce the way that we do it, the way Morris do it. And we don't have to involve any corporate, and we're able to get some things done that way. When we're our own bank, we get to call the shots on what we do. We already know that all of the property belongs to us. Our ancestors are calling us now to have proper commercial accounting processes and protocols in place so that we can keep track of everything. That's really what our bank is for. That's what any bank has been for, so you can keep track of what's going out and what's coming in. And that's where we're working from. That's the protocol that we're working from. Commercial accounting matters, so that we know what's what and where everything is on our estate, because that's also competent heir action, is knowing how to take our own vast estate and keep track of the resources, because they are vast, very vast. But we have to start somewhere, and so we're going to start there in that space. In the chat, you're asking about the bank. We talked about that at the beginning of the call, and you may not have been here. So, but this will go up on YouTube this evening so that you can hear about the post office, the sovereign, original, indigenous, Moorish American post office, which is the United States Post Office in red in all lowercase letters. And that's what we are. And that, along with the banking, we're also the United States Treasury, which is in red in all lowercase letters. We've always been that. They hypothecated that just like they capitalized everything else. And, you know, now we're taking everything back. Islam. Empress Shade, do you see what's coming through the chat with regard to email addresses?
Yes, I do. I'm copying and pasting them now so I can get everybody's email.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Empress Patricia. I see you there in the chat. Thank you. Okay. I believe that's all we have this week. Continue demonstrating please get the termination of corporate contracts on the public record so that we can move into the commerce in a manner that is orderly and peaceful, because we're going to get into some of the things that we've been looking at on our land and making sure that we account for them where accounting is concerned, sovereign accounting and not corporate accounting. And that way we can move peacefully and not have to worry about being violated when we know how to demonstrate. So, peace and grand rising to the heirs, and we will meet again on Wednesday.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Grand rising. Peace and love, everybody.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Come on, Paulie. What the fuck?
Grand rising.
Islam.
Fuck off, you grand rising. Stupid asses. Stupid fucking move.
Islam.
Love, Moors. Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Much love to the nation. Much love.
Yes. Much love. Much love. Much love.
Islam.
Islam. Peace and grand